Hello and welcome to Jones in Fandom. We're back. Woohoo!
It's only been nearly 2 months, but we're back.
Yep. I'm loving our fully 4-hour schedule.
Oh yeah, we're
Yeah.
super planned. There's no excuses. We just haven't thought of what we were going to talk about, and then life gets in the way.
No. Well, we had thought of something, hadn't we?
Oh, and then we were going to talk about the weird, twisted world of Vince McMahon, but then because I was stood up for small mollusks in shell racing last week, we'll get to that in a minute. We're now going to talk about the US election and our predictions for November 5th.
How bad it's going to be.
It's going to be entertaining.
No. Is it? Shall we hear the news before we jump into America?
There's been quite a few bits of news flying about. So obviously apologies for those people who already know about this news. It's not really news anymore because some of it happened in September. So Doctor Who. Shall we talk about Doctor Who first?
I mean, it'd be a change, wouldn't it? Let's do it.
Let's do the new bit first, and then the older bit second. So, are you aware of the Ncuti Gatwa? I don't think it's aired on TV yet. His appearance on Graham Norton and what's happened with that.
Doesn't he announce they're filming season 3 on that? But season 3 hasn't been commissioned yet.
Yes, and apparently he announced it, but it's been edited out of. Ooh. I don't know if the actual episode has been on, but somebody said that the audience heard it, and then when they see it in real life, that bit has been cut out in the sort of the stream of the conversation. So obviously, maybe he didn't know, does know, tried to push to the agenda. Oh, I don't know.
Yes, because I saw something, I think, when it had been all first came up saying, here they've confirmed it. But then I think a day later, RTD said, something about it being commissioned. And they said, well, no, it hasn't been, but it's being filmed, but it hasn't been commissioned yet. And you go, how does that work?
Yeah, because he's in the theatre, isn't he? So it won't start filming until next year anyway. So it was a bit of a bizarre one, but I've not seen, normally like TikTok, stuff like that, I get the Graham Norton stuff on that. I've not seen it. So I don't actually, while we're talking, I don't know when that episode is going to come out.
No, because he's doing Winter LFCC, which, has that happened yet?
No, that's thank God the weekend after the train strikes. Because when the train strikes were announced, I think it was last week, I was like, no, and then I realised it was the weekend after. Yeah, so him and Millie Gibson, that's the other thing. She's now attending that. Yeah. So that's an interesting, just on the Saturday again.
Yeah, dual photo shoot. Come on, it's got to be done.
I'm not doing the dual, I'm doing 2 singles because the dual was quite expensive. So
more than 2 singles?
It was, but I'd already bought the single for Ncuti. So it's kind of like, well, I could do that, but that would cost me more than 2 singles because I'd already bought a single, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it was like, no, we're going to do singles, and that's it. But they've also announced. Sorry, go on.
Oh, it does beg the question: from a scale of 1 to mental, how's it going to be on Saturday?
Well, Michael Sheen was announced yesterday.
Yes,
and that I was like, no, you just want to take all my money, because Michael Sheen, I am sorely tempted because I do like Michael Sheen and a lot of stuff he's done. And it's like, oh no, it's turning into a massive event. That
have they announced talent yet?
Not yet, but if they do, oh god, yeah. Both. I just need to see where you're going with that. I need his signature for my Doctor Who script, and it's like, I don't know. They can't do that to me. I can't afford it. I haven't got enough sanity left. If he goes, it'd be like, oh man.
Yeah, I think if I could bet £1, I would say if they haven't already got him, they'll be trying to get him for it, because you can then do Good Omens photo shoots and all sorts.
Doctor Who, yeah.
You could have a 14 and 15 shoot together. Oh, the money, all of the money. Just think of the big piles of money.
Ah, man. yeah, I might hold off doing Michael Sheen in the hope that if they do get Tennant, I just want his autograph, so add it to my list of autographs. I've already got his autograph from doing Who anyway, but I want it on the script because I'm kind of just need the three of them. Not that I'll ever get Russell T Davies's autograph ever because he doesn't do anything like that, but yeah, you can hope.
Write him a letter. Say, dear Russell, I need your signature on this piece of paper.
Yeah, that's the only way to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. So, yes, they announced Michael Sheen yesterday, and I was like, oh, that's so good. But I've already... And it's also that we're only going for one day. And yes, we are diamond passing, but there's only so much you can do in a day.
Yeah, even with a diamond pass.
Yeah. And when Millie Gibson's diamond passes were on block 4 on the first day, and it's like, she's gonna be busy too. So yeah, we'll still see.
This is her first event.
Yeah, his first, her first. Yeah,
that's going to be a baptism of fire for both of them.
Yeah,
because are they used to crazy fans yet? Because they're gonna learn real quick.
Oh yeah. Neither of them will. Also, she's done. Was she Coronation Street? So she's kind of done Main Street stuff. He hasn't. So well, we'll see.
Good. So what's the older piece of Who news? Which
that
I've
was
obviously forgotten about.
The spoilers, leaks, whatever, that was on Reddit. According to Reddit, I'm looking at it here, 1 month ago. So the end of September. So first one, we know that Ruby won't be traveling with the Doctor, and she'll be working with Unit. The only thing out of extra is she will be reunite with the Doctor in the finale. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Series will include one returning monster, but no Daleks or Cybermen. I could believe that.
Yeah.
Series 15 will continue to lead into fantasy. Well, we kind of talked about last time. Series 14 never really did. Episode 2 take place in Miami. We know that because we've seen them filming. Focus on the paranormal. Don't know. We'll get an episode that takes place mostly on the TARDIS. No. Murray Gold has written a new song. Blah, blah, blah.
Cool.
Jonah Hauer King, no idea who that is, will play Mrs. Flood's grandson. No idea. Obviously, someone's been announced in the cast. Mrs. Flood will continue to be the central antagonist of the finale. I kind of guessed that because if he's only done 2 series, he's going to cap off who she is, isn't he, in the next series?
Yeah.
She'll be reshaping time and trapping the Doctor. Mel will die in the finale. We thought she was going to die in the last finale. Be interested to see where she dies in this one. Belinda must be this new companion, I guess. Who is the actress who played the girl in the ambulance episode?
Yes.
Usual stuff. This is the most interesting. This is about, and it's not between the river and the sea. And I said that to someone the other day, and they looked at me really blankly, and I was like, "Oh no, I mean the war between the land and the sea." That's it. The spin-off thing. Basically, Russell Tovey is going to be playing the Master, and he'll be forced to help because he's prisoner of Unit. I can believe that. That might be quite cool.
Yeah, that'll work.
That's basically the biggest thing that I got from that. And I thought, oh, that might be quite nice, where he's kind of playing the Hannibal Lecter thing, locked in a prison, and they have to go to him to get advice. I like that. Yeah,
that'd be quite good. Admittedly, how Unit have captured him would be a nice story. Yeah, well, it was the tooth thing, wasn't it? Remember the hand picked up the tooth. Yes. Because my son's just been watching the one where Tennant regenerates the two-parter over that, and obviously I forgot about how the Master came back and the ring and the women who kind of released him, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that, and it kind of got me thinking, oh yeah, the tooth, and then I remembered that thing we're talking about today. It's like, Russell Tovey, I think would be really good as the Master because he's a good actor. That'd be cool. It obviously does beg the question, where in the timeline is this Master version? Oh yeah, is he going to be post? What's his face? Jodie Wilkins. I can never remember his name. Sasha thingy. I can never remember his surname. Or is he going to be between Missy and him? I mean, that'd be quite cool if he was maybe in the middle and he wasn't
at the end. Yeah, because that's quite nice when they kind of, because the Master's his regenerations are so fluid, aren't they? He could appear, he could be anywhere.
Yeah, because he's burned through them about 4 times so far.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh no, I've run out. Well, never mind. I fixed it.
Yeah, because how did he become? So I'm trying to work out his timeline thing, because he didn't regenerate at the end of Sound of Drums. His essence went into the ring. Then he was kind of brought out of the ring thing, but he wasn't fully powered and he was all a bit weird. Then he disappeared fighting the Time Lords, and then Missy returned. But then we had the thing where the two Masters were in the episode where John Sims' Master did regenerate into Missy. There's probably something online that explains where they all sit, but we never saw her regenerate into the other Master. So it could be any point.
Yeah. Good fun.
Excellent. Who knows?
Yes. Any more news or thinking about it?
I went to see John Barrowman this week.
Yes. How was JB?
It was really good. It was really good to see him back on stage, and he was on top form. And spot on. Couldn't fault it.
Did he remember you?
He did, actually. There's a story behind that. Well, you see, one has to sit on the front row when you go to see John Barrowman. Because he's now doing smaller venues, I thought it actually lent itself better than having these kind of big arena type things where you can't really see the crowd, because he's like, you could literally stand on the stage where I was and you could see the crowd. So he did a number after the interval where he came through the crowd and he went past me, and I was the only how should we put it, male person who wanted to be there, because my wife always used to say this is full of either old women, gay guys, or husbands who don't want to be there. So I fitted somewhere in probably the gay guy feature, and so he crooned to me, and then he kind of did that look of recognition, and he kept moving, and then the first half he was reading out questions from the audience from a book. So he's like his handler was given a book. I thought, oh, maybe that's coming from the meet and greet, because I didn't go to that. I didn't think more of it. But at half time, there was a banner up in the bar that just said, "Ask John a question," and a QR code. I was like, oh, bugger it, I'm going to do it. So I just put on it. I was in Tonight's Tonight and asked him a question about Tonight's Tonight. So when he read it out, I was like, he said, "Tim there." I was like, "Hello." And he was like, "Well, what did you do? What were you on?" And I said, "Oh, Southend." He was, "Oh my God, I thought I recognised your face." And then he just basically recited the entire thing to the audience about what we did. And he's like, "Oh, it was great. And we did this, and we did that. It's really nice." And then he's like, "Yeah, what was the question again?" But no, it was really good. It was nice, considering we did that 15 years ago.
Him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was on top form. He really was on top form, and he was really chuffed as well.
Is it really 15 years ago?
2009, April 2009.
Because that's when we met, wasn't it? It was 2010.
It was March.
Yeah.
It was Time Quest, wasn't it?
Yeah. Time Quest 2.
Time Quest when all the doctors were there, weren't they? It was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, you being a guest, me being me. Because what's that when we parked next to each other and both looked at each other and went, "I recognise you, but I don't know why."
You were in full tenant gear as you got out of the car, weren't you? I'm sure you were. I'm pretty certain you were.
Probably.
Because you went through about 4 costume changes during the weekend, definitely.
Of course.
Yeah.
How many more costume changes could you need, darling?
Including, which I thought was
multiple costumes in a day.
Which I thought was really impressive. At the disco on the first night, you were in tenant disco mode with your tie around your head and the glasses on. I thought that's dedication to the cause, that is.
Yeah. Oh, I was young back then.
God, don't work we all.
Thinner. Yeah. I had 5 grey hair.
Yes. No, it's a really good concert. He actually as well addressed his cancellation, the cancel thing that was like.
Oh yeah.
He did it, and it was done really well, because I don't know if you're probably not watching it. I've been watching this Philip Schofield thing when he's on a desert island on Channel 5 that was on recently. Oh, he's filmed this thing, basically his comeback thing, where he's basically financed it himself and he's filmed it himself. But basically Philip Schofield's really bitter and he hasn't really accepted what's happened to him. Okay, totally different situation, John Barrowman, because John Barrowman got shafted. But you can tell Barrowman's kind of he's obviously worked through it and he's not got over it, but he's worked past it, whereas Philip Schofield still doesn't accept his responsibility. John didn't have a responsibility. He got screwed over by all the events that happened. But no, he addressed it in a really kind of succinct way. And I thought, he's not shying away from it. And he told some stuff that even I didn't know. I didn't realise, because his manager, he used to always have his manager there, and it was one of his friends. He's known for 20 years. His manager dumped him by email just when it all happened. And I thought, you know what? That's pretty harsh. Someone who his friend for 20 years dumped him just without, and he went through all the stuff that he had, all the Big Finish. They dumped him. I knew there was a Doctor Who like interactive thing. He'd done stuff for that. They cancelled that, and it's just thought, it's horrible. And it all turned out to be just a load of nonsense anyway. That it was already in the public domain, and it was just because the other person, I don't want to point fingers, the PR team deflected because he was going through a legal process and they couldn't talk about it. The press started talking about something they could talk about. But no, he spoke really succinctly about it. I thought it was nice. So he's back on the road doing this.
Excellent, excellent. Good to see him. Good to see him back.
Yes.
Do you think we'll see him at events and stuff in the future then, or is he?
He's did one at Cardiff, didn't he? Oh, last year. And he's done quite a few in Europe and Australia and the States. So he is coming back into that realm again. And I think he'll get a warm reaction because it's water on the bridge and people have moved on. But judging by the reaction he was getting the other night, there's enough support out there for him.
Yeah.
But I know he went through a lot of shit, and there are a lot of people, because it's that whole cancel culture stuff online where people just pile on and then they move on to the next person, and it just keeps on going. And it must be hard for someone like that to have their entire livelihood taken away with them overnight, basically. Yeah. And you can't do anything about it.
No. Well, talking of cancel culture, shall we talk about America?
Yes. Well,
yes, the good old US of A.
This has possibly been the most interesting presidential election I think I've ever seen. It's so interesting on so many levels, because obviously we talked about it before, didn't we, with Biden and will he, won't he, and then he got
then he won't.
And then he won't, and then Kamala Harris is just the whole situation in both sides is really, I find, fascinating to watch. And I can't call it. I don't think it's going to be as clean cut as either side think it's going to be.
No.
But if I'm honest, and I'll put it out there now, I think Trump's going to win. I think it's going to be close, but I think he's going to win. Because there's some signs that are happening at the moment that I'm thinking, I can see it. I can see it.
I think it's almost a two-part question in the American election. It's who wins a popular vote and who wins electoral college. Is it going to be Hillary 2.0?
I think it will be. I think she'll end up winning the popular vote, and he'll win the overall number of votes he needs to get the seats. I think it'll mirror 2016 in a lot of ways. I think the biggest question is if that prediction comes to pass, does America, and more importantly, the world, actually survive it? Well, it's an interesting thing again there. I think a lot of people forget. It was Joe Rogan, not his one with Trump yesterday, but I think it was 1 week before. He said a lot of people forget that Trump's already been in power. So we've kind of seen what he could do already. So a lot of this kind of scaremonger.
Is it because the first time around, no one was ready for it, so he took months to kind of build any kind of momentum because half the positions weren't filled. They had no names for anything. They didn't know what they were doing. So is the whole Project 2025 thing that's been touted a lot going to have an impact, because if half those things in there come anywhere nearing to pass, God help the states. Because
I don't think the Project 2025. I genuinely don't think he's got anything to do with that. It's just a group of individuals who are trying to push the agenda. But you're right. He didn't think he was going to win in 2016.
Yeah.
And then he admitted on Rogan's podcast yesterday that he surrounded himself with the wrong people. And I believe that. There were a lot of hangers-on, crazies, and kind of leeches who kind of latched onto him. Like a lot of the people he finally got rid of. I think this time he's more organised and he's got the, rightly or wrongly, he's got the right people around him. So obviously he's got Bobby Kennedy, which is a name. The family name's there. He's got Tulsi Gabbard, who shifted. She's a popular person in her own right. Again, Elon Musk, love him or hate him. He's slowly surrounding himself. And JD Vance has got more of an opinion than Pence. Pence was just there for the kind of the ride, really, wasn't he? So he's more organised. So I agree. And also COVID happened, didn't it, in 2020? So any momentum he did have kind of skewed there anyway.
Yeah, I think John Oliver summed it up quite nicely. Like the 2016 run was summed up by just incompetence, and the fear is the 2024 version might be summed up by ruthless efficiency. Because if he comes in ready, you go, oh Christ, you've now got to actually, he can hit the ground running from day one.
Yeah,
and you think, well, last time it took 18 months for him to get anywhere, and then COVID got in the way, which thank God for COVID. But this time it could be horrific.
Yeah, I think
if any of these suggested things that he could do come to pass, because like his opinion on immigration, abortion, rights in general, and you just go, oh, half of these things, if they get anywhere near to being progressed, will be absolutely brutal.
It also depends as well who gets the other two houses, because if the Senate or the other house flips, then he won't get anything done. But if both sides get all three, the first what is it? It's normally about 6. Is it a year? It's normally about a year, isn't it, before they vote again for the houses? I can't remember the exact thing. I should know. It becomes a little bit more plain sailing because they can push through whatever they need to push through. But if one of them loses one of the, especially the Senate, then it becomes a lot harder for either side to get anything done. I'll be honest. Harris hasn't impressed me. She's till very recently had no policies. I think the definition word salad is something I never really heard until you hear her speak, and it's she just says things and it doesn't make sense. She doesn't answer the question. He will say things. The thing is with Trump, love him or hate him, he speaks his mind, and I think that's what people can't get. It's like politicians never answer the question, do they? They always kind of, especially our politicians in the UK, they just kind of never. He will probably more wrongly than rightly just say what he's going to do, and everyone's like, oh, but she just comes across as just, you can't answer a question, and it's like it worries me that there's nothing there. It's just all front, and there's no substance to it. And
it's a difficult one. Do you want someone who you're not sure what the actual answer is, or do you want someone whose answer is sometimes a war crime? And you go, not great.
I don't know. And if you look at the state of the world at the moment, it's interesting because there was a fact touted, and I actually read up on it to see if it was true, and it is true, that Trump is the safest president since, I think it was Jimmy Carter or before, in the fact that when he was in power,
because he declared no wars and stuff.
American soldiers were not involved in any war. No money was given to any war effort around the world, and America provided no support to any foreign conflict. Zero. And you think that's quite interesting because everyone touts him as this kind of crazy warmonger, but actually he didn't do any of that. And it's like, because America, I'm following it, it's it's that whole thing. There's no, I say the BBC, but the BBC are a bit flaky these days. There's no neutral media. It's either for or against, and depending on which channel you're watching, you get the different viewpoint. And it's just, you flip between the two, and it's like, oh yeah, they say this, but then they say this, and what's actually real becomes very weird. You're kind of in this kind of thing where they're all touting all these random facts about people, and you think, well, actually, who's actually telling the truth? And quite often, neither side are actually really telling the truth about anything.
No,
and it's bizarre. And it's a bizarre thing to be in.
Yeah, it's like when they're sort of quoting like 2,000% tariffs on like foreign imports. You go, cool. So you cause a global recession overnight, then, mate. That's how that works. It's like when, like the first time round, when Angela Merkel had to do like a speech the day after one of his visits to somewhere, and she was like, I forget, she was doing like a university speech or something, which is basically saying Europe has to stand on its own because our friends might not be our friends and won't support us anymore. Yeah. And you go, oh God, could we be? It's like having America do its global politics thing. It keeps other places in check, like your Chinas, like your Russias, like basically anyone who's feeling a bit excitable. You just go, no, sit down, or they'll sit you down. But without that, with that isolationist or passive support almost, you go, well, is that good for anyone?
Yeah, you speak about international thing. There's a lot of theory that Israel are holding off any kind of ceasefire until after November to see who's going to be in. They're kind of waiting, and you get the impression that obviously the Ukraine thing, they're all just sitting waiting to see, and China and Taiwan, they're sitting and waiting to see who comes in. Lots of things hinge on which person, not even sitting in the White House, is elected. Because let's be honest, Biden's disappeared. And that worries me. And no one's talking about that. The fact that he's just vanished. And he's supposed to be running the country until January 12th, is it? And he just thinks that just, no one's talking about that little bit. But I don't know. It's kind of in a weird way, and this is not it's not 100%. Like when we had our election here, a lot of people voted based on anyone but the Tories. And we got what we've got at the moment, which isn't great. And I think in a lot in America, it's that kind of anyone but Trump. And so some people are voting based on that, which is understandable. But what they're voting for, they're not really considering who they're voting for, because I don't know. She didn't even get, the thing is, they talk about democracy. She didn't even get voted in by a party. And that's what kind of grates on me. They bang on about democracy. She was installed by shadowy powers that be of the Democrats. Because Biden, his autobiography is going to be brilliant when he writes that. Because he's going to pull no punches. That'll be really interesting to read. But I don't know. The more I hear her talk, the less I am confident. I also started reading about American polls. The polls are obviously quite neat. Some say Trump, and there's another thing which I'd never heard of, and apparently it's big this year. Is there's companies that do poll. They collate the number of bets that are being placed, so where the money's going. So the concept of follow the money, and I'll show you because I'd never heard of this before, and it's relatively new. So this is the forecast according to this, based on where the money's going. So Trump will win by a landslide if you believe that, 64% to 35%, and then it does all the various states and everything like that. But this is tracking the betting forecasts, which I just found fascinating because that's completely different to what you get from the polls, and I couldn't work out what it was. So I did some reading, and it's a really interesting thing because it happened in 2020 and it happened definitely in 2016 that Democrat voters will engage more with polls because for lots of reasons, education, trust of the system, all that kind of stuff. Whereas Republican voters tend not to, especially nowadays, because they don't trust the system. and
especially
like
Trump especially Trump Republican voters. They are impossible to get hold of.
So there's one of these chief pollsters, like the guy who always predicts the election. He's predicting Trump's going to win by not as much as that, but he was saying, he said Republican Trump supporters won't admit they're Trump supporters to third parties. That's one of the big things. So they just don't respond to phone calls, because it's all done by phone and stuff like that. So he said the polls are so skewed now that it's probably worthless even tracking them, because you're not going to get a real picture. And then they were talking about this, and they're saying, follow the money, see where the bets are going, because people, the big money is going into the bets, and it's like, that's interesting. So I don't know, I take that with a pinch of salt, but it was interesting. I'd never heard of that before. I don't think they do it for this country.
Yeah, I think the other issue is their whole system is difficult for a Democrat to win because of the way it's set up. So Democrats, by their very nature, live in high population areas such as cities, and like California, you get however many electoral college votes.
Oh yeah.
And you go, cool. But as a population, you go, that's like 20% of the bloody American population. And if they did it as a true representation, the Midwest and like the Bible Belt states wouldn't even get a nose, because there's not enough of them. No one lives there.
Yeah.
And this is the reason why this system exists. But at the same token, why it's completely unhinged for a Brit. You're going, I don't understand how this will work.
Because I think it's like they tout America being like, this is what democracy should be like, but it's the most convoluted voting system. And the fact that, and I know they couldn't physically do it, don't get me wrong, but here we still count things by hand. But they've all these voting machines, and I always, even before like 2016 and 2020, think I don't trust technology. Cross in a box, get some old lady down the village hall to count them. That's all we need.
But I think with the voting machines, it's those that have a paper trail, they can then at least audit, and that's.
I suppose there's an audit. I imagine
they've
it's
got various
secure
machines, but there's one of them that is just a touchscreen, and so there's no paper trail whatsoever. And again, good old Johnny O here. So they had a election in a small county, like a parish, and the people that were standing went, I got like 2 votes and my opponent got 33. But I know 33 people voted for me, and there was literally 35 people voting in this little tiny election. And the machine had swapped who they voted for, and they literally went round to each person and got an affidavit from each one saying, actually, I voted for this person, to overturn the result. But if you have that on a grander scale with no paper trail, you are done. Whereas the older machines. You like tick a box and feed it to a machine.
Paper. Yeah, I've seen that done.
A stamp on it.
Yeah.
But there's a paper trail, so you can at least audit a proportion of the results. So you then have a known quantity. Again, them saying sort of, our machines can't be hacked, and literally the next episode of last week tonight is them hacking a machine, and you go, cool, let's not do that. So our system is hard to hack because it's paper, unless you flood it with votes. But again, if you're comparing signatures and IDs and all this thing, you can't do that. You can't disrupt a paper ballot because there are only so many of them. You couldn't physically hand count every single vote, because that would take days. No. To go through it. Well, again, there was some of the Republican, because again, after 2020, a load of the election officials left because they had death threats and all sorts, which is totally fair for them to just go, do you know what, that's too much for me. But they've been replaced with people that are election skeptics. So like one person said, no, I'm going to hand count every vote. And his election was an absolute disaster, because they had one batch of 25 votes that took 4 hours because they couldn't agree how many votes were in this pile. And you go, how do you mess it up this badly? You have a system that basically works, and you're now actively breaking it. What are you doing?
I think in some ways our system clunkier it is, it does work. And
you can't beat a little old lady in the village hall.
Nope, can't do it. And so it's too close to call, even with all those polls being the way they are.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating to watch it, and I'm watching it now for what's happening on either side in that basically the week left. And again, it's really interesting because, and what got me is Saturday Night Live. I used to love those sketches with what's his face who did Trump, Baldwin. They were brilliant, and it's a shame. It's a shame Baldwin's in the strife, is it? Because him coming back to do that would just be legendary. But they've started taking the mick out of Kamala in the last couple of weeks, and you think, oh, that's interesting. They've just started doing that. Why are they starting to do that now? So there's a little bit of a shift, and then she was on CNN, and she got fact checked. And it's like, oh, that's interesting. So there's been a little change in that left wing media. And then on the other side, you've got them kind of calling out Trump's medical stuff, which is a good call because he must be shattered because he's 70 something, and he's doing. I watched a video the other day of what he did, like from dawn till dusk, and it's like, bloody hell, he must be absolutely shattered. So they're kind of going, oh, he's because the one of the greatest sins in America is to admit that you're old. And as we know, Biden got pushed out because he was old. And you kind of think, that's quite interesting. But then on the flip side, you've got a very cleverly, and I'm giving them credit for this, Trump and Vance are doing the podcast circuit. So they've done Rogan, they've done, there's another one, another big kind of right-wing talk show things. And they've just been going round, and Theo Vaughn, JD Vance was on that, and they're doing the podcast thing. And someone was saying that's because a lot of that is disenfranchised young male voters. And they said it's really clever what they're doing is getting out onto those podcasts because it's not mainstream media. It's the young male voters, the ones who are sort of in the middle, who are not voting. And it's all races. So it's black, Latino, white, whatever. And it's a really clever thing. And he didn't do that last 4 years ago, and he didn't do it 8 years ago. So he's just watching both sides and the tactics of what they're doing. It's fascinating to watch because it's like, what are they going to do next? Because she reeled out Beyonce, didn't she, last night? And he was on Rogan. And I thought, oh, that's quite clever. Wheel out the big celebs versus the other big celebs from a different niche. Yeah,
but I think what she's got to watch out for is the Clinton repeat, where you just go, I've got all these celeb endorsements. Oh, yeah. Cool. But what about the actual voters?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what are you actually going to do for the common person? And the last thing, like Clinton's downfall was the polls, because they said, oh, this is going to be a massacre and a landslide. And everyone went, cool. The fact he hadn't even written a concession speech.
Yeah.
And you go, yeah, this is going to be a one horse race. And then the other horse turns up, and you go, "Oh crap! What do we do now?"
Yeah, some observers said that it inside, you can believe it, pinch of salt, that there's a lot of people who worked on that campaign who are now seeing the signs that history's repeating itself, and it's kind of they're all getting a bit worried now that she might not win because she peaked, and now she's kind of plateauing, whereas he kind of goes up and down depending on what week you're on. And again, because it's erratic, but she's kind of peaked and now peaked too early.
Yeah. And I think you've hit the nail on the head there. If this had been like when she was having her groundswell of support from being the whole replacement thing and just going, yes, actually, here we are. And timing could be her downfall here.
Yeah. And I don't think she did herself any favours not doing any interviews for the first 45 days. That was a mistake because she didn't do anything without an auto cue, and it became the running joke that it was just like she has to have an auto cue and she has to have that managed thing. Whereas, again, like it or not, he'll come out and just talk about anything, whether it's true or not. Don't get me wrong, but he doesn't need an auto cue. He'll just waffle on, and
he's actually worse with an auto cue.
Yes, he actually is, isn't he? I remember when he was in Power, he'd be reading from an auto cue like this, and you can see he didn't like it. Yeah, and I think that was one of her major problems. And any interview she's done, except for that Fox News one, which was hilarious to watch, was all very controlled and very positive, and there was no real challenge. And I think the biggest challenge for that Fox one was when the guy cleverly asked her about Biden and her differences, and she said, "Oh, she's really positive about him," and then he followed her up with, "Well, when did you notice his mental decline? And why didn't you tell us about it?" And she's like, "Oh, like rabbit in headlights."
Yeah,
it's like,
and I think that's the thing. You have to do a combative interview, and you have to come out on top.
Yeah,
but it was interesting / clever on Trump's part when they did the what's it called? Oh, where the debate.
Oh yeah,
they were going to do three. Yeah, they were going to do three.
Yeah.
And then they did the first one, and he goes, "Nah, I'm good. Don't want to do anymore." And he pictures it as, I creamed it completely. Why were we doing it? Everyone's going, "But you got obliterated, mate." And
he didn't do too well on that.
Won it by a mile. Why we're doing two more?
Yeah, it was an interesting thing because
that's the thing. He'll stand in shit and say, "I smell of roses," and you go, "But you don't, mate." And you go, "No, I do." Yeah, you'll hold his feet to the fire, and he'll turn around and go, "But what about my fireproof feet?" I'm going, "But they're burnt stumps, mate." Yeah. And this is the Trump problem. You can't get him with a fact check because he doesn't care.
Yeah,
and it's the whole Trump thing. But that's a lie. And
so what? It's a weird thing because you have to admire the guy in a weird kind of way, and I don't know how he ticks, and you don't know. But the politicians in our country, they will wriggle and squirm and not answer the question and not even go anywhere near the answer to the question. But he just comes out with whatever he wants. And I think that's what makes him so unpredictable, that politicians can't deal with him because they don't know what he's going to say. And it's like you said, you mentioned Germany and NATO and stuff like that. They don't know what he's going to do. They're panicking. I bet they're panicking, going, "Oh, what's he going to do?" Because he's already said he was interviewed with another podcast. Can't remember who it was. It was this week. Might have been the Undertaker's one. I can't remember. I'll come to that in a minute because that was funny. But they asked him about Ukraine. He said, "I'll fix it whilst I'm president-elect." And it's like, I don't know what powers the president-elect has. Quite a lot, I imagine. But obviously with Biden...
Not really, no.
I don't know. Well, I suppose Biden being non-existent...
Yeah, they get access to briefings, and that's about it.
And he already has access as a previous president, so probably he won't get much else. But he said, "Oh, I'll fix it before January." It's like, well, what's he going to do? How's he going to fix... But I suppose...
Yeah. Well, you know exactly what he'll do. He'll phone up old lad and go, "There's going to be no money, no weapons. Do what you like, mate."
Yeah, he'll cut the money.
It'll be an obliteration.
And the thing is, if they've got the both houses, he'll just be able to push it through. Just go, "No, you're not getting any more money. Tough luck. Sort yourself out."
Yeah.
And Putin knows that. And again, he's just sitting down when he's just waiting. And
that's like we said. There's so many global political things that are now waiting a week and a half to see how it comes out. But also, just not to put too fine a point on it, the fact that the majority of this podcast we've been talking about him, because with her there's not a lot to talk about.
Exactly, and this is the frustration I've got. Is you've got choice two. Yeah, she's. I don't want to be offensive because obviously she's very clever in her own right, and she's got where she's got, not off merit. She's with merit. She's not.
Yeah.
But she's nothing. She's got nothing, and he's right, and they've been right in challenging her, saying all the stuff she's saying she's going to do. Why haven't you done it in the last 4 years? And it's kind of like what we have with our politics, isn't it? But it's slightly different, and it's a new. But she hasn't got anything to say. And there's no policies and no real, everyone, right or wrong, everyone knows what Trump's about, what he stands for, and you agree with it or you don't.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell you what she stands for. She just stands for.
It can change from day to day, but yeah.
And that's the thing, is you could tell what Obama stood for, but you can't tell what she stands for because she just feels like a face. She feels like a CEO of a big organization, like Tim Cook of Apple. She's a face of a party, not a person with her own views. And that's what worries me, is who's pulling the strings. And I don't want to go into conspiracy territory here because I'm not trying to, but who's behind the scenes, who's manipulated the situation to get her there. No, she doesn't seem like her own person. It feels like she's not really got any substance.
Well, I think Obama was a classic. He literally hope, believe, case of I'm here, I'm going to change stuff. Yeah. And you go, you know what? You can get a groundswell behind that. Yeah. And it did. And he was incredible. It still is incredibly popular.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Whereas her, you're just going, well, there's no draw me in, make me want this. If I was American, I'd be thinking, well, make me want to vote for you. Yeah. Because at the moment, it's basically, I'm not him. And you go, that is totally fair, and that is totally worth a vote. However, just because you're not him isn't anything.
I think that's the thing. It's, we don't want him. You're the only alternative. And in an election of that importance, that doesn't feel right. Because that's what happened here. People voted anyone but Tories, and we got what we've got. And what we've got, if you look at it now, isn't great, because we didn't want them lot to be in, and I can understand the reasons why. She hasn't got any substance, and I don't know what she stands for, because she can't tell me what she stands for. And it's too wishy-washy.
Go back to, like, in 2020, Biden got 74 million votes, something like that.
Something like that,
which is the biggest electoral win ever. But you then realise that Trump still got like 70 million, which was still massive. And again, a lot of Biden's votes were, he's not Trump. And you go, well, if she hasn't got that, she's not Trump groundswell, it could be an obliteration.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we said originally. Because she hasn't got that, the face. She is not a face. She is beige, I think. Trump, love him or hate him, you have an opinion on him. With her, you just go, cool. But there's no visceral reaction.
No,
you're not gonna go and chant on a street corner and say, I think she's great, or I hate her guts. You just go, yeah, cool. And I think this is probably, and I hate to say it because I'm not looking forward to the next 4 years, if and when it happens, I think that will be her downfall. Yeah, it's just there's no draw.
No, I think that's it. And unfortunately, the biggest topics that the American people are interested in, the border, the economy, he has more policies and more favourable policies than she has, because she can't really quantify what she's going to do about immigration, because she's flip-flopped so many times. And then even this week, the CNN fact check was where she word saladed a response where basically she laughed at the border wall idea, and then by the end of the sentence agreed with it and was going to do it. And it's like, well, hang on a minute, where did that come from? So
but this is a stupid thing. We all know a border wall does not work fundamentally as a thing. It does not work. But when Matey Boy made his whole thing, build the wall, and having people chanting it, you go, oh god, this is a thing, isn't it? But the actual physical barrier, it's like you go, oh, it's unclimbable. The next clip is someone climbing it, and you go,
yeah. But he's the famous, now infamous chart that he was looking at when the first assassination attempt happened. It shows the number of illegal border crossings, and it dropped. Statistics are there. When he was in power, it went down, and it went way up afterwards. So if that's what the Americans care about, then
but again, the problem is the majority of people sneaking into America go in through ports of entry. They go in through ports and airports. They don't walk across the border. That's the joke.
Yeah, it's
because
I can't really comment on internal American stuff, but unfortunately, the big things, Trump is seen to be tough on the economy just by reputation, rather than necessarily action. And she is still tainted by this administration, and she hasn't done enough to she's tried to distance herself from Biden, but not very well. And that's the thing I think they've, like you say, I think it will be her downfall, is she hasn't stamped her flag in the ground and gone, this is me, this is what I stand for from day one. It's taken ages to get anything.
Yeah. And I think the other issue you've got is, again, the internal workings of American politics, where you've got effectively what we have as civil servants. They've got political appointees and non-political appointees. And the non-political is basically the function of government. But again, if the whole Schedule F thing, which lets them change roles to political, and you go, but they had it just before they left, and Biden undid it straight away. But if he comes back, they could get rid of like 2/3 of the internal workings of the US government overnight. And you go, so then the country literally ceases to function? And you replace, and like the classic, the Sharpie map with a hurricane. So they go, oh yeah, so the president's doctored it, that's fine. But in their version, the map would have had the Sharpie mark already on it, because he would have said the hurricane's going to go there, and the weather service would have gone, yes, boss, it is. There would have been no research, no question. You go, it's going to land there, mate, because that's what I say. And you go, oh God, if that actually happens, what is the country going to be?
Oh yeah, it's fascinating.
Like the whole abortion debate. They're going, well, they'll never. So they're going, oh, if we don't have we might not be able to get abortion bans through, or the states might not do it. But then someone said, well, you just get the FDA to decertify all abortion medication overnight.
Ooh.
And then there's no abortion anymore because there's no medication for it. And if you put the right people in the right roles, that is literally what they will do.
Oh, Lord.
And you think, oh God. So you go, I don't need the Senate and Congress. I can just go, I'm just going to do it by the back door. And you think, oh Jesus, what is going to happen here?
Oh, I don't know.
So I'm thinking in 2 weeks' time, when this absolute mess is over, we'll be back.
Yes, we probably will be back.
I'm picking the absolute, and I think if we're both honest, I think when we first talked about the election all those months ago, my prediction was Trump wins it by a landslide because Biden was useless, unfortunately, and she wasn't great. And I hate to say it, I don't want to make that prediction, but the chances are that still could happen, and it worries me greatly. But there's nothing to tell me that that's not going to be the case.
No, I can't see. I genuinely think he's going to win. I think it'll be close, but I think I'm seeing enough. This week. But
then we have the second coming of Farage.
Yeah, because he's what's the word? Well, the thing is, there's an interesting thing. I know we were going to stop now, but the thing, Keir Starmer's not necessarily the most popular person with the Republican Party, especially after all the hoo-ha. You see the hoo-ha this week about the LinkedIn post from the operations manager of the Labour Party trying to get recruits to go over to campaign for the Democrats.
Yes.
Apparently, it always happens, and it's as long as you don't get paid, you can do it. But the fact the political commentators were saying the fact that the LinkedIn post was quickly removed obviously means they were a bit sensitive about it, because obviously Trump then complained. So if he wins, Keir Starmer is immediately on the back foot, and Trump will talk to his mates, because you know what he's like. He'll talk to who he likes, and he likes Farage. He'll talk to Starmer professionally. Don't get me wrong, but Farage will have a foot in the door to the most powerful man in the world, which is just bizarre. Yeah.
So, Prime Minister Farage in 5 years' time, wonderful.
And Trump won't be there in 5 years' time.
Yeah.
But there we go.
Because that's the thing. If he does win this time, at least this is the last time.
Yeah. To be honest,
unless he does like a Teddy Roosevelt and changes party and
changes the rules.
Yeah,
just carries on.
That's
forever.
the other thing. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, what's to stop him?
No.
In all seriousness, what is to stop him?
Well, yeah, I suppose that's it, isn't it? But he'll be what he'll be near as old as Biden is now, wouldn't he?
We can have Don Jr. instead. Then he'll appoint himself Emperor of America. We can have King Don.
JD Vance will, if they get in, he'll be a dead cert.
Yeah,
because I've been reading his book. It's interesting. You listen to JD Vance speak, and he sounds like a politician. He looks like a politician. Trump is Trump, but Vance feels like an American politician should feel. He's got that vibe, and he's better than Pence because he talks to people. Pence didn't speak to anybody; just sort of hid, took the money, and that was it. So yeah, I can see Vance running in 2028.
God. Just thinking, in 4 years' time, we're back doing this again. Oh, God, now what? Yeah. There's a nuclear hellscape is like what's left of America, and we go, cool, yeah, go on, mate, whatever.
It'll be fine. No, we'll come back on November, whatever it is. Are you going to stay up for the result on Bonfire Night?
Did last time. Yeah,
I might do it.
My last time I stayed up to about 2 a.m. Against Hillary. And as soon as it became apparent, I went, I'm going to wake up. I woke up about 6, looked at my phone and went, I think I tweeted. It was simply, "Oh, America, what have you done?" And I know for the 2020 election, I went, because we know it's going to take days. I didn't say, I watched it till I got bored of it. But because nothing was going to happen because of so much poster voting and stuff like that, I went, this is going to take a week, so I can just watch this at my leisure. But yeah, I think it's going to be election night special all over again. Let's get the tea up. Yep. 5 in the morning, I finally give up and have about 2 hours sleep and then crawl to work going, oh God, what have we done?
Oh Lord. Hopefully it'll get decided and there won't be any Bush Gore nonsense like there was many, many years ago. And we actually do get a definitive result that neither side can contest. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's the thing. If it's close, and it's close with Kamala the winning, then that's going to be a mess. We can have January 6th, 2.0. Oh, don't even go there. This time it's with bigger guns. Yeah, but this is the thing. It's all to come. We don't know. It's on a knife edge. So, like we said, let's come back in a couple of weeks and see if the world's on fire. Cool. Yeah, positive end note to end. Who knows? Right. I think we'll end it there. So hopefully we'll all be in a better place in a couple of weeks. But if not, this is probably our last podcast. We'll be podcasting from a bunker. I think, we what we need is that the end of the world, like sort of thing, so we can just have a final podcast and just us going, it's fine guys, we got this. Just us sinking into the ground going, we got this, it's fine. Oh God. Lord. Right, on that note, I shall say cheerio, bye bye. Yes, and ta-ta.